How long does it take to win a government contract? My name's Rick. I'm a former government procurement officer. My job in the U.S. Air Force was to put companies like yours on contract for all types of products, services, technology. Now, I coach, train, and assist companies on selling to the U.S. government. It can take over 2 years. It could take 18 months. It could take a year. It could take 6 months. Doesn't get faster than that. So here's the good news. The good news is it can be faster than that, potentially 3-4 months. And there are certain situations where it can be super fast, 30 days, 60 days. Let's talk about the timelines for the different contracts. We'll talk about we're relaunching our academy right now. So you can go to govclose.com if you're interested in that and seeing how we train and coach our students in that. So that's going to launch very quickly. So if you want to get into this instantiation of that, jump over to govclose.com. But look, I get tons of comments about how long it takes to sell to the government because there aren't that many people online that are telling you the reality of selling to the government. Okay. You're not going to start out trying to sell to the government without a business and middleman and opportunity and have a contract in 30 days or 60 days. It's not going to happen. And I'm not going to get started on the BS middleman strategy. You want to start up with your niche. What are you great at providing? Service, product, technology, solution. All right. That's where you're starting off with your niche. And then we have to figure out how to sell it to the government. Okay. Now, a lot of these larger contracts that we hear about, all right, because a lot of people will say, well, Rick, if it takes 18 months to win a contract, I'm just going to go sell commercially or B2B because I don't need to spend 18 months to sell, in that avenue. Well, usually you don't. That's not always true. But even selling commercially, which I also do, I've noticed the larger the contract is, the longer it takes, the more persistence you need to win that contract. Government contracting is the same, right? So you're not going to win a 3-year services contract worth $20 million in 30 days. It just doesn't work that way. If you're going to sell fast, right, which is probably why most of you are going to be watching this right now, because I don't want to scare you off from government contracting. It can be very profitable, right? But you got to go into this with your eyes open. So if you're already selling to the government, you can sell in 30 to 60 days. I do it all the time. Reach out to a government customer that you currently have on contract. Let them know, hey, I was just thinking to you guys, want to make sure that our product solution is doing well. Are you having any issues? And they're going to respond to you probably, no, it's great. Or, hey, yeah, we're having this problem. Well, if they're having a problem, help them out. Don't try to sell them something. Help them out. If they're not having the problem, okay, great. Do you need more of this solution that we offer, more services, more of this product? Are you aware of our other solutions, right? This is a great opportunity to let them know because your customers are not necessarily aware of the new solutions, products, services that you're bringing to the market, right? They're focused on what they're doing. I mean, I was that person. I was often unaware of what a company that we had on contract for one thing. I was unaware that they developed some innovative technological solution that save the planet. So then they would bring that to me and say, hey, we have this. Now, your government customer may not be ready for that or may not need it. But what you can ask them is, well, do you know somebody else in the government that, buys this type of thing? Can you refer us to anybody else? Because guess what? You're going to not believe me. Acquisitions officers in the government, they hang out with other acquisitions officers in the government. Right? That's their inner circle, right? That's who they're talking with. I would refer people all the time. So step one, if you want to sell fast, you sell to your existing government customer base. Okay. Now, what's the next fastest way to sell to the government? That's a loaded question, right? But here, in my experience, there are a couple of things that you can do that can expedite the process. One is SBIR. If you have an innovative technological solution and you are looking for government investment in your product, service, technology, SBIR, you can go to SBIR.gov, SBIR.gov, SBIR Sam.gov and see what they have there as far as different topics and whatnot. I've done entire episodes on SBIR, so I'm not going to focus too much on that. Just know that the process for that can be a little bit faster. So from putting in your application to finding out that you have won, it can be quick, but just keep in mind that there's work you have to put in there too, right? So, if you watch this channel, my philosophy is find an opportunity as early as you can before a solicitation comes out and then work that opportunity. There's something else you can look for. If you Google other transaction authority, this is a way that the federal government can purchase outside of the federal acquisitions regulations. It's a faster way. This is usually managed by consortiums, right? So you might not see a OTA opportunity come out on Sam.gov. Okay. And by the way, this goes back to the space race, right? So if you're unaware, the government does take a long time to put companies on contract. They are notorious for this. This is true. It is not fast. I often say 6 to 18 months minimum, especially if you've never won a contract before. All right. The government also knows how long it takes. So other transaction authority was developed so we couldn't compete against the Soviet Union in the 50s and 60s in the space race using the federal contracting process. It took too long. They needed a way to buy spacecraft, to pay for the astronauts, pay for all the technology that went into NASA that was actually quick and innovative so we could actually beat our opponents. Okay. Now, today, OTA can be used for different things in a variety of federal organizations, but it can be a fast way for government to purchase from you. So I would just Google other transaction authority, Google OTA consortiums, take a look at some of these consortiums. Often it's a company that the government's hired to basically advertise different topic areas that they're interested in. And so if one of those consortiums fits your company and your offering, you could go with that. So those are some faster ways to sell to the government. Now, let's talk about maybe some more traditional government contracting methods, right? So why these long timelines, Rick? Because I often see comments about, hey, I want a contract in 60 days and, you don't know what you're talking about. Or, hey, you can win a contract in 30 days. So this is what I'm talking about. First of all, less than half of 1% of small businesses sell to the government. That's a fact. Most companies that try to sell to the government quit before they win their first contract. Okay. This is because it's not easy and it's not straightforward. You got a leg up because you're watching this channel. Okay. But in traditional contracts, here's the timeline, right? So first of all, you see a request for a proposal, right? Which is a solicitation. You write a proposal, you send it in, you don't win. You write a proposal, you send it in, you don't win. Well, that's a way to fail at selling to the government. You can win if that's your first engagement, but sales executives, companies that have been selling to the government that are good at it, they know I need to find that opportunity before that solicitation comes out. And when you do that, you are able to influence how the government decides to make the purchase. You can influence who they're going to buy it from. You can influence what type of contract vehicle they're going to use, type of set aside. There are lots of things that you can influence as a company if you find out about that opportunity prior to the solicitation. But once the solicitation comes out, the handcuffs are on. The government is not going to talk to you. If they do answer your questions, it's probably going to be in a public release on Sam.gov. The reason for that? Well, if you've heard of protests, companies protesting government contract awards, one of the reasons these companies will protest is that they learn that a government office has talked to a company after that solicitation came out. Well, just using the federal acquisitions regulations and fairness and competition, that could be grounds to protest that award. And that just delays everything. And at the end of the day, who this really hurts is our military, and it hurts people in the government, and it hurts our country. But companies don't like it, so they're filing protests all the time. I think they use that as a tactic to defeat their declared enemy businesses. Is that even a word? Although I do like to have a declared enemy. So that is fun sometimes. So let's talk about what that timeline could really look like if you're really doing it right. Okay. Let's say I start off by finding out about an early opportunity by identifying a sources sought. Could be for anything, right? But let's say it's a services contract. And I find that in January of 2024, it's due in, let's say it's due mid-February of 2024. Okay, so I have the sources sought. Maybe I contact the government contracting office, try to get some more information on it. I write the sources sought response. Remember, this is not a solicitation for proposal, so I'm not going to win an award off of this. Usually, you're not going to win an award off of this. If I write it, I might win that award because I'm good at writing those. But so we write the sources sought response. It is due February 15th. We deliver it on time or before. We make sure that the government has received it. And we want to also make sure, hey, when's the solicitation coming up? Okay. Sometimes they tell you, sometimes they don't. Say in this case, they tell you, we're expecting the solicitation May 15th of 2024. Great. Okay. In the meantime, you're still before the solicitation. You're trying to set up a demo, meet with the government office, collect information, work with your teaming partners if you have to. Right now, May 15th comes and it goes. And as often with the government, and remember, I've been on the government side, I've been on the sales side. The government's notoriously late and notoriously does not issue the solicitation when they say they're going to. So now you make sure that it hasn't come out, right? But now it's June 15th and it still hasn't come out. Now it's June 20th, it comes out. Okay. So now you have the solicitation. It's due July 15th. So now you have to write that solicitation. And remember, solicitations come in all shapes and sizes, but the solicitation proposal is much harder to craft than a sources sought. Very precise. By the way, the larger the contract, typically the bigger that proposal is. Some companies take months to write a proposal. It's all hands on duty. I mean, there are proposals over 100 pages long. Some are not that involved, but still, this is a process and you have to pay attention to it. So you work your ass off, you submit that proposal before or on time of July 15th, and the government confirms receipt. How long does it take them to award? Every contract's different, but it is not uncommon for the government to take 3 or 4 months before you hear back from them, right? So October 15th, you hear back that you've won the contract, okay? Yes, we've won the contract. Are you getting paid yet? Maybe not. You might not even start until January 1st. Like, when are you putting these services into place? When do they want you to start? Every contract's a little bit different, right? But let's say you are going to start December 1st, right? And you get some people in there. Are you getting paid yet? All right. Well, you may, depending on the contract that you've won with services, you're usually going to have to invoice the government for the funds. It's going to take 30, 60 days for them to fund you, right? You're going to have to be able to pay for those people in the meantime. But now we're certainly past January of 2025 by the time you're actually getting paid by the government. And that is not a difficult example of a timeline. I have certainly worked on projects that have taken me over 2 years to win with the government, even longer, right? Because you can't control funding delays. You can't control leadership delays, changes in course. That's why at the end of the day, guys, it's essential that you're building a pipeline with a lot of different opportunities so you can flex. Because, by the way, I've been illustrating some of the bad things that can happen, but a lot of great things can happen too. So by managing 50 opportunities in there, a couple of them, I guarantee this is going to happen if you do this long enough. That's why you build that pipeline. It takes a little while to get started. You start winning these government contracts. You have current government customers and you have long-range opportunities you're going after. Some of these, you're going to get a call and say, hey, Rick, if your name was Rick, they'd say, hey, Rick, we have funding early. Like right now, it's May of 2024. Guess what? It's fallout fund season. That means all the federal agencies are going to have money that they want to burn or spend before the end of September, which is the end of the fiscal year. Why do they want to do that? Because I don't know what this is across all federal agencies. Seems like all of these offices are afraid if they don't spend every dollar that they have, that they won't get the same amount of funding next year, or they'll get less. That's the fear. So they're all scrambling to spend it all. And if they have a surplus, we call that fallout funds. And fallout funds are something that you can I say you can compete for. Really, the different offices are competing for it in the federal government, but you can put a note in your program manager's ear. Hey, we've got this extra thing. If you have follow funds, you can use that to put us on contract. But I get those calls. I got one of those calls just recently. We got follow funds. We need to burn it. Okay. Here's something that I've been working with them on that they can buy. You can do the same thing. So there are good news stories like that with the government also. And then the difference, of course, with the government in most commercial B2B, B2C sales is the government does spend a large amount of money. So, your fallout fund purchase may be for a $2 million something. It could be for $100,000 something, but hey, it's good to get that either way, right? So hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of an idea about timeline, how long it takes to sell to the government, some of the different strategies you could take to win contracts fast, meaning sell to your existing customer, and the long game, finding those opportunities early. And by the way, guys, the long game, just like everything in life, the long game is what is going to make you money with government contracting. That's how you're going to build a business. Now you build that building pipeline of leads early, okay? And working those, making sure they're quality leads, making sure your salespeople know exactly what they're doing. If you want any help with this, you can go to GovClose.com. And right now we are opening up our academy again. So you can go in there, go take our free training. First of all, so if you go to GovClose, you can go in and immediately just take our free training. We offer some tips and stuff that you're not going to hear anywhere else. And then you'll also have access if you want to see our training, if you want to see our on-demand training, if you want to see how we coach students to help them win government contracts, if you want to see our CRM and pipeline sales management system. All of that is available at govclose.com. Thanks, guys, for tuning in this week. Hopefully this was valuable information. Let me know in the comments what you want to see. Specific advice on selling, what type of industries really work well for government contracting, how do small businesses fare in some of these, whatever it is, throw that in the comments. This is how we generate our video. So, all right, good luck. Let's go close contracts.